Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Star Wars Legends Lounge, the podcast that celebrates the books from Star Wars Legends. I'm Aaron Motes. Today's a special episode. I'm not going to focus on any specific book, but I wanted to get us back onto the published recording schedule that I released earlier this year. Of course, most of you know I recently took a work trip to Alaska. That got me off my regular recording schedule, and I'd just like to get back on track. So while I don't have a specific story to talk about today, I did want to talk about a trend that I've been noticing, and that is the number of Legends stories, or aspects of those stories, that we are seeming to get in Star Wars canon going forward. So this episode is going to be a little different. I don't have a script like I normally do. I'm just going to go over some of my thoughts. The episode's not going to be as long as they typically are, but I thought it'd be a nice way to get back on schedule. There's no email, no tweets this week, so let's hop right in. Are we about to see more Star Wars Legends become canon? Let's head in to the Star Wars Legends Lounge. Many of you that listen to this show know how much I enjoy Star Wars Legends, but I also have talked about how much I enjoy the canon. I'm not one of those people that praises one and hates on the other. There are aspects of both that I like. There are aspects of both that I dislike. But one of the things I've been noticing lately seems to be a foreshadowing of legend stories that are about to come into canon. Now, I'm not talking about the exact story, but I'm talking about aspects of the story. And there are a few big ones. There's the original Timothy Zahn trilogy, specifically the first book, Heir to the Empire, and there's the Rogue Squadron movie. Now, I know I may be connecting dots that aren't there. I fully admit to that. I may be jumping to conclusions. But I do believe there are some signs there. Let's go back to last December at the Disney Investor Day when they announced a number of projects. One of the projects announced was a Patty Jenkins film called Rogue Squadron, about an elite squadron of New Republic fighter pilots. We don't know exactly when this movie is going to take place. There's a rumor that it's going to take place after The Rise of Skywalker, which would make it in a different time period than the book Rogue Squadron. However, do I think the movie is going to be like the book? No. Do I think there are some aspects of the movie that are going to be like the book? Yes, of course. The obvious, it's an elite squadron of fighter pilots. That is what Wedge Antilles created in the formation of Rogue Squadron in the Michael Stackpole book. Stackpole himself, after the announcement of the movie, said that he is not involved at all, that he was not told about it beforehand. And of course, let's face it, there's no reason to contact Stackpole because this film may have nothing to do with the book he made. I think it would be cool to see Wedge Antilles again. I don't think he'll be a fighter pilot, particularly if this movie takes place after The Rise of Skywalker. I don't think we're going to get the same characters. I don't think we're going to get Corran Horn. But I think we could get a few homages to the book. I could see a character named Gavin Darklighter. I could see a character named Tycho Celchu. Whether those characters would have the same backstories that they did from the Stackpole novel, I don't know. It could be done. It wouldn't change anything in the current canon if they had those same backstories. But if the movie is taking place in the time period that it's rumored to be taking place in, I don't really think there's any way that the storylines could be the same, because the Empire is truly gone by this time. But what I really want to see from that movie is the feel of the first book, the Rogue Squadron book, where it's a bunch of hotshot pilots that know they're hotshot pilots put together in a competition to form the most elite fighter squadron that the New Republic has. I've said it before, it's Top Gun in space. Now, the second story we appear to be getting in canon is a version of the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire trilogy from the early 90s, specifically the first book, Heir to the Empire. We know from The Rise of Skywalker that Emperor Palpatine was trying to create Force-sensitive clones so that he could achieve some sort of immortality. We saw some sort of cloning program going on in The Mandalorian, first with Dr. Pershing having the Kaminoan cloning symbol on his arm. They wanted Grogu's blood for its high M count. And then in the second season, Mando stumbled upon some sort of what appeared to be a cloning facility on Navarro, out on the Outer Rim. Flash forward to the finale of the first season of The Bad Batch from back in August. And the Kaminoan scientist Nala Se arriving at some sort of Imperial facility. A technician walks out, has the same Kaminoan cloning symbol on her arm, and then, following the episode, a bunch of Star Wars fans sleuthing around the internet found on the official website, StarWars.com, some concept art for that facility, and the title of the concept art was Wayland Mount Tantus Facility. So, what's Wayland? What's Mount Tantus? In the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire novel, on the planet Wayland, the Emperor had set up a cloning facility inside of a mountain, Mount Tantus, where he was trying to create Force-sensitive clones because the dark side of the Force was having such a toll on his body, it would allow him to live longer, possibly live forever. That's also the basic plot line of the comic series Dark Empire, which came out about the same time as the original Zahn trilogy. So, in that book, Grand Admiral Thrawn discovers the Mount Tantus facility and uses the cloning operation for his own plans to overthrow the New Republic. Well, we know Grand Admiral Thrawn is out there. He was made canon in Rebels. At the end of Rebels, he and Ezra Bridger disappeared into the unknown regions of space. In Mandalorian Season 2, Ahsoka Tano is still searching for Thrawn. We don't know exactly where Wayland is in the Star Wars galaxy anymore. We know where it is in Legends. We don't know if the planet is in the same spot in canon. But I don't think it's a stretch to say that Grand Admiral Thrawn learned about the Mount Tantus facility at some point in time while he was with the Empire. After he disappeared into the unknown regions with Ezra, he made his way back there. So, I think the Ahsoka series is going to be Ahsoka searching for Thrawn and Ezra Bridger. I think Thrawn escapes at the end of that series. And I hope the event series that Kathleen Kennedy announced on that Investor Day, where the storylines from Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, possibly the Book of Boba Fett, and Rangers of the New Republic, if that series is still on, we don't know. But the storylines from those series all culminate in some sort of event. I hope that event is taking down Thrawn at Mount Tantus and stopping Thrawn from using the Mount Tantus cloning program for his own purposes. I could be way off on that. I completely admit I could be way off on that, but that's what I hope. Now, is there anything else from the Heir to the Empire trilogy that could be made canon? Yes. A lot of the stuff in The Mandalorian, and presumably what's going to be taking place in the Book of Boba Fett, involves the Star Wars underworld. It'd be really easy to make Talon Karrde canon. Talon Karrde could be a smuggler and an information broker, just like he is in the Legends timeline. We could see the Noghri again. Grand Admiral Thrawn, we know, has used the Noghri in canon. Rook was in the final season of Rebels. We could see that same Noghri alien species used by Thrawn as his personal kind of assassins, like they are in Heir to the Empire. I don't think we're getting Mara Jade, mainly because George Lucas famously never liked the Mara Jade character, and I think those that still work at Lucasfilm are still sensitive to George's vision of the Star Wars story. He didn't like Mara Jade. I don't think we're ever going to see Mara Jade in canon. I don't think we'll see a clone version of Master Joruus C'baoth. I don't think we're going to see a clone Luke Skywalker. But I do think it's exciting to see an aspect of the most famous Legends storyline, and Heir of the Empire being the most famous Legends book, coming into canon. The final reason that I'm hopeful we're going to see more Legends stories coming into canon is because of the announcement earlier in the spring about Lucasfilm republishing certain Legends novels as part of their 50th anniversary Essential Legends collection. And we've already seen the first 7. Those include the entire original Zahn trilogy, Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, The Last Command, the first 2 of the Darth Bane trilogy, Path of Destruction and Rule of Two. So presumably we're going to get the third book, Legacy of Evil, whenever they announce the third wave of the Essential Legends collection. Rogue Squadron is one of them. And a Clone Wars novel, Shatterpoint, focusing on Mace Windu. I don't believe they are choosing these books as part of their Essential Legends collection for no reason. Are these some of the most popular Legends stories? Absolutely. And they know that many people who collect Legends or just want to get into Legends for the first time are going to find these stories as some of the best. But I think it could also foreshadow their canon stories for the future. We know Darth Bane is canon. Darth Bane is in the 6th season of the Clone Wars television show. I don't think we're ever going to get a Bane-focused series, be it animation, live action, or a Bane-focused movie, because I don't think in Star Wars you focus on the villains. I think the focus in Star Wars is always on the good guys. But I do believe in the future we are going to get some sort of storytelling set back in the past around the time that Bane established the Rule of Two. I think that's very exciting. And I've been wondering what other books the third wave of that Essential Legends collection could contain. Let's say they announce 3 more. The third book of the Bane trilogy is 1 down. I think of the other 2, you would see some sort of combination of the Darth Plagueis novel by James Luceno, the Kenobi novel by John Jackson Miller, the first book of the Jedi Academy trilogy by Kevin J. Anderson, Wraith Squadron by Aaron Alston, or Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore. I think 2 of those 5 books will be in the third wave of the Essential Legends collection. And I think one of the reasons they are putting out this Essential Legends collection is so that fans that never were into Legends can have some background information for future projects. Again, this is just wild speculation. I could be way off. But I'm hopeful because I love Legends, and I know a lot of you listening do too. So that's kind of all I got. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share with me about whether or not we could be seeing more Legend stories coming into canon, please feel free to email me at swlegendslounge@gmail.com or send me a tweet at legendslounge1. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject. Now that we're back on schedule, the next show will be coming out in 2 weeks on September 24th, and I'll be jumping ahead post Return of the Jedi. I'll be talking about the book Tatooine Ghost by Troy Denning. So you have 2 weeks to read up on that. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Star Wars Legends Lounge. I'm Aaron Moats. Remember, there's always a bit of truth in legends.